Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of BridgeAusTV. Today, I will be talking about working in Australia. I'll be focusing on employer sponsored visas. I will talk about the common misconceptions about working in Australia, the truth about it, and then I will go on to give you an overview of the different types of employer sponsored visas and its key requirements, and I will end up with the recommended steps. Common misconceptions. I have five.
Get a visa to visa and work here.
On a visitor visa, you cannot work in Australia because that's in your visa condition. You cannot work. And if you work, then you're breaching your visa condition. That can lead to visa cancellation. So you wouldn't want that.
You get the student visa and it is guaranteed that you will find a job in Australia.
Not, of course, you don't have a guaranteed job. That's a student visa. You're here to study. Of course, you have work rights, but who can guarantee your job? If they say that, then ask for that employment contract and make sure you verify it.
You can get a work visa for any job if you have an employer.
On a work visa, your role or job should be on our skills list. So you can't just be in any role.
Very easy to get a work visa in Australia.
Again, it's incorrect. It's very hard to get that, especially for people who are overseas.
Applying for protection visa is the best way to stay and work in Australia.
Wow, this is the champion one because there's so many scammers who would tell you this. Protection visa, as the name itself, it's for refugees. If your life is in danger and you cannot get back to your country, that's what protection visa is for. It's not meant for being in Australia permanently so you can work. So those people are just really making money out of you. And the thing is, they would also invent some stories for you so that they can submit it to the department that your life is in danger. But guess what? Everything's on record. This affects your future visa applications. All right. Now I go to the truths about working in Australia. First one, you cannot work in Australia if the nominated occupation or the job role that was given to you is not on the skills list. Okay, so please do remember that. You should satisfy all the criteria for the visa that you're applying for. So what does that mean? So later on, I'll talk about the different kinds of visas, different kinds of employer-sponsored visas, and each one has its own requirements. So for you to be eligible or for you to even get approval for that visa, you have to make sure that you satisfy all of them. People would tell you it's easy, get a work visa in Australia. Why are they telling you that? Because they want to make money out of you, right? The truth is, sponsoring an employee is very hard for employers. Why? Because there's costs to it. They have to pay the sponsorship fee and nomination fee. In some cases, they would also pay for the visa, but usually it's borne by the visa applicant. They have to pay for the Skilling Australian Fund. So those are costs. They also have obligations. They have to make sure that you are the employee that they're sponsoring would stay in the role, in the specific role, in the tasks. They have to keep records. And as an employee, if you go away and suddenly you disappeared, the Department of Home Affairs will find you. And all the costs associated with that will be charged to the employer. Another thing that's hard for the employers to do is that they have to satisfy that if they're hiring you as a foreign worker, they have to justify to the Department of Home Affairs that there's no other Australian citizens or Australian permanent residents whom they can get for the role. So how do they do that? They put ads, maybe in Seek or any job search engine, and it should be there for 28 days. They have to provide proofs of this and also have to explain why they chose the foreign worker against the Australian citizens or Australian permanent residents. The last thing that the sponsor has to prove is that the position should be genuine. For example, you are an accounting firm and suddenly you decide to hire a registered nurse. So is that genuine or not? Maybe you're doing that because your cousin is a registered nurse and you wanted to sponsor them. That's a big no-no. It should be a genuine position, a position that works within the organization. They look at it from your organizational chart and the tasks that needs to be performed by the employer that you're trying to sponsor. I am now moving on to the different types of employer-sponsored visas. In this slide, you will be seeing the different types. So there's the TSS 482 visa, temporary skilled shortage visa, employer nominated stream, which can be direct entry or the transition stream. And the newest addition to this is the 494 visa. This is the replacement of the RSMS 187 visa. The table is very much straightforward. It shows you the different visa types and the requirements, whether it needs an approved sponsorship, nomination, the age requirement, English, whether you need skills assessment or not. Work experience requirement, some for the TSS requires you to have at least 2 years of work experience full-time in the nominated occupation, meaning if you're applying as a registered nurse, you should have at least 2 years of work experience full-time as a registered nurse before you can become eligible. ENS is 3 years. 494 visa is also 3 years. And they have an additional requirement, which is the RCB. There's also location. So most of the visas, 482, 186, they don't really require where the occupation is located. But the 494 visa is a regional visa, and therefore you should be at a designated regional area. So there are postcodes for that, which is shown in the presentation slide. All right, so you might already be talking to an employer who's willing to sponsor you. So what are the steps that you need to go through? First is you look at the role. What is the role that they're willing to sponsor you for? Is it in the skills list for that specific visa? And if it's there, then, are they willing to also give you the salary that's required? So the salary that's required is currently 53.9 and above. That's the minimum salary, and it should also satisfy the annual salary market rate. What does that mean? Yes, it's 53.9. That's the minimum. But if a programmer's salary currently is at 90,000, they can't just offer you 53. So it wouldn't work. It can be refused. And from there on, the employer then goes through a process called the labor market testing. That's for TSS. And if that's satisfied, then moving on to the nomination application and the visa application. The thing is, it's a bit hard if you don't really know the legislation and even the employers. So it is best that you seek advice from a registered immigration agent or an immigration lawyer just to check your eligibility. Or, if you decide to get their assistance, you can also appoint them to assist you in your application. In summary, getting a work visa in Australia is not that easy. You have to make sure that you know the process so that other people could not lead you astray. It is very important that you check your eligibility first and the company's eligibility, because you wouldn't want to waste a lot of money and then at the end of it, your visa or nomination gets refused. Thank you, and I hope you've learned something about employer-sponsored visas. And if you need advice or assistance, we are always here to help you. Thank you. If you want to check if you're eligible to migrate in Australia, please visit our website www.bridgeaus.com.au for a free initial assessment.